San Jose State went into Logan, in Logan, Utah.
Logan Wolverine?
No.
Oh.
The Utah State Aggies.
Well, they got slashed up like it was Wolverine, dude.
I know. Yeah, I know. I mean, 105-57. So I rewatched this game. Utah State won. 48-point victory. I mean, San Jose State, we know they haven't won here since like the 80s, man. Like,
you serious?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Like it's something silly. They never win here. And man, I mean, SJSU, like they were done by like the second media timeout, man. Like they showed no life in this game. And it was first and foremost good that Josh Aduje came back, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that he came back, the homecoming game couldn't have gone worse for him. He hit his first 2 shots, and then he finished the game 2 for 14. So he 0 for 12 after that. 4 points in 29 minutes. I will give the Utah State crowd some credit here. So, like, they've always known to be rowdy and always have the crazy, like, signs and stuff like that. They had... they were like cheering on Josh, man.
Oh, okay.
And then they were all like, "We miss you, Josh." Like in the second half.
You're basically just like underdogs everywhere they go.
Right.
They're not going to clown them too much.
But I'm just saying that was I thought that was some class from the student section. I'll respect them for that. But man, I mean, Donovan Yap and Sada Nganga had 15 points each, but that was all in garbage time, man. In the second half, like this was done. I mean, they just look lifeless out there. This team and. Honestly, disaster. Everybody played their worst game of the year. I mean, Latrell Davis, Jonathan, we know this guy's been red hot for like the past month and a half.
Yeah.
He even went 1 for 9.
That sucks. They put him in single digits finally. Wasn't he like on a streak?
Yeah,
recently?
he was on a streak,
sucks.
right? Like 9 straight or something.
Yeah,
like
at least double digits.
Yeah. So they put that to bed. Rob Viola did go down in the first 3 minutes of the game, which is no bueno, obviously. I mean, that for a guy like, so we know Rob is not going to like necessarily put up the numbers, right?
No.
Like he's not, we want him to be more aggressive, like within the offense and just based on the playmakers that they have this year, he's probably not going to do that as much where he's just going to go down and, you know, post up and isolate as much as we want him to. But for a guy that means so much to what the offense that they run, like with all the 5-out stuff and the DHOs and everything like that, we've highlighted Rob's, you know, impact to the offense and, you know, just based on how he's an option on every one of their sets and he's getting a ball touch every time. That is not good. You're obviously still dealing with the Will McClendon injury, which we'll see how that transpires here over the next week, but obviously no Rob is a big deal here, especially because a front court with Sada Nganga and Chol Mariel, like it's not as bad as it was last year, and there is some, you know, those guys are older, but one less body, and Christian Wise redshirted this year. He's out for the year. He had the ACL injury last season.
He's making some pregame dunks to get the crowd going, though.
Yeah, he's doing the pregame dunks, but still, the front line, that's a big loss.
Yeah, I know, man. And call me crazy, but I feel like they're not going to need him for a Wyoming game, even if it's at a Laramie. I kind of trust Chol Mariel and Sada Ngana. He wasn't in that last matchup. I don't think Sada was.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, so I think it would be a good time for him to get some minutes, some exposure, if that Viola, even if like that Viola injury isn't that serious, just to kind of get him some rest. And especially if Will hopefully comes back for that next game this Saturday. But I'm with you. I think Robert Viola is the most important player on the team. I think if he was here last year, the record would have looked a lot more different. You know, I know he hasn't really stuffed the scoring sheet with, you know, offensively, but, you know, we kind of say it all the time. He has the hardest job guarding most of the time against these big men all across the Mountain West. And hopefully it's not that serious because right now the Spartans starting to look a lot like towards the end of this year now, they're starting to look a lot like the team last year just because of the injuries they're dealing with. That's kind of what they dealt with all of last year with the Cardenas Amy-led team. And right now, you know, Robbie V, Will McClendon, Christian Wise on the bench looking on. And thankfully they got Josh Aduje back right on time. But I don't know. I'm not too worried about it right now. Hopefully Robert Viola comes back soon. But it's just Wyoming coming up.
Right. But the game's in Laramie, 7,000 feet above sea level.
Laramie, they almost lost to Air Force, dude.
Okay, yeah, I get that. But we've talked about this, and I've told you this several times now. where if you're gonna do the Wyoming road trip, and based on the way it stacks up on your schedule, it favors the road team in a sense, like SJSU in this very situation this year. If the second game is in Wyoming and the first game is already in a spot with elevation, right? Because now you're already accustomed to the altitude. They're not coming back to San Jose. The game's on Saturday. And sure, like the elevation might hurt you for like the first media, but you've already accustomed to the air out there. So I don't see it being as big as an issue compared to like a team like if SJ was coming in, on the first game of the road trip. I think that does, that could take out some fatigue in a sense for the Spartans this Saturday. But Jonathan, the way the Mountain West standings look right now on the men's side, and we'll take a deeper dive on this, but the way the standings look right now, this is looking like your round one matchup in the tournament.
SJ?
Yeah.
That'd be cool, man. They're kind of evenly matched.
Nevada's too far ahead of the two teams, and Air Force is too far back. And based on the way the first round seeding goes, like this is going to be your matchup. So it all comes down to who you're going to trust on a neutral. I think this is the game that, let's just be honest. SJSU was probably not going to win at Utah State. Like they were going to have to shoot it incredibly well. And the fact that they made shots in San Jose and still lost by 7, I thought was a little bit of an issue. And the matchup zone killed them yesterday. So this Wyoming game, we already know Wyoming, they have to ugly up the game. They can ugly it up in their building. Obi Agbim's good. Nesbitt and Dante Allen could hit shots probably in that building. And Scotty Abube was the saving grace for them in San Jose in the blowout loss. I mean, SJSU won that game by 9 in January. But the fact that, Scotty Abube was basically the pulse to the Wyoming offense the first meeting with 22 points in their career high. This is a game SJSU, I feel like, should win. I think needs to win, just for the group with this losing skid that they're on. Yeah,
and I'm kind of surprised that Wyoming, they had to come back. They were down by like 10 to Air Force in that last game in Laramie after almost beating New Mexico. It's kind of weird how that at the pit a few games back before that. So I find that kind of weird. And Abube didn't play in that game against Air Force, so maybe I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's a matchup type of thing.
It was actually, I can tell you this. He was actually suspended by the team.
Oh, okay. That's
for the past couple games.
What?
And he's been
in the doghouse.
Yeah, he's been in the doghouse, and he didn't play versus the Air Force game. So he's actually, I would say he's probably questionable for this game. I don't know. I don't know this. I haven't heard an update on him.
He'll come right on back for the team he played his best game against ever, right on time, I think.
We'll see.
But I'm not too worried, man. It's just Laramie. And if you get the loss there, I think Air Force and, like you said, Air Force and Fresno are way too far behind to really have an effect on the standings. Not to say like, hey, go in there and just whatever, don't even try. But Laramie, all of a sudden, is kind of just falling down. Like to me, they had the New Mexico game. I know they kind of took it to them. New Mexico came back. They won that game like in the final 3 minutes. But Laramie, this game against Air Force was kind of giving me some question marks. They were kind of letting Air Force kind of get whatever they wanted in the first half. And this team isn't designed to come back. Like if they're down, it's kind of red flags everywhere. They got to have the lead, man.
Sundance Wicks does not have the weaponry this year.
No way. And Obi, sometimes, like, if you kind of just shut him down and you make somebody else, take shots and start pulling up shots. There's only
so many guys.
Yeah, like they're not going to do that really all the time. Maybe on a certain day, but if Obi's off, then I think the whole team is off.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Obi Agbim, and here's the thing. These guards normally do play good in this building. I mean,
yeah.
Remember last year they won at the Horn?
Yeah, but at the Horn. Like,
right. But that's what I'm telling
you. Yeah.
But this game honestly just does have close game written all over it.
Yeah.
I would be genuinely shocked if, not that I'm saying, I think SJSU needs to win badly, but it wouldn't be shocked if it's like a tie game with 3 minutes left. Right?
That would be fine because SJSU be the ones dealing with injuries.
Right.
Because even I would imagine not everybody's going to be healthy, but
yeah.
Regardless, if they can keep it close, and I think that's a good sign for San Jose State, even if you end up with the L. And if you don't, then hey, you got to win on the road before you end up coming back home.
All right. So Jonathan's not hitting the panic button all too much.
I'm ready for this tournament to start, man.
I think we all are, man.
I just want the win over Fresno State and then the tournament, and I'm ready. Let's do this, dude.
So, hey, it's amazing how that Fresno State game is on senior night, the final game of the year.
You got to win that game, man.
You have to win that game.
The Super Bowl.
Yeah, you have to win that game. I mean, you get UNLV here next week. I mean, that's it. That's a game where UNLV's been spotty all over the place this year. They've nothing new. This is like 3 years in the making now for Kevin Kruger's group. So I think that could be a coin flip game. We'll see what the injury situation's looking like there. But yeah, I think we can all agree the Utah State game was an absolute wash. Just don't even look at the game tape for that one. Like, it was just, man, that was brutal for all parties involved there. For SJSU players, managers, coaches, fans.
Even if you can keep it close in this one, I mean, you had a bad loss on the road against Boise and bad loss on the road against Utah State. I think if you can just keep it close, just to say, hey, like, you know, for morale, you can keep it close on the road against another team would be good for them to see in general before they come home against UNLV, because then they got Colorado State on the road again. That sucks. So it's just Boise State on the road, Utah State, and Colorado State as their final road game. Those are tough road games to have, man, especially for SJSU down the stretch for this schedule to kind of close things off. That Wyoming game and the Colorado State one, all of a sudden, looking very important for SJSU just to get some dubs on the board before Mountain West tournament comes.
Yeah, and it's amazing, right? Because they played every team in the league minus Colorado State close at home, and the perception was high on SJSU. Like, wow, like, hey, you don't want to draw this team in the tournament. But now the stock is very low with all the injuries and with the way the Utah State result looks and the way they got smashed versus Boise and the blown leads that they had versus Nevada and San Diego State. Now the perception's down. The stock's a little, is lower than it was maybe a month and a half ago, when they were fighting hard at Viejas Arena. So we'll see. Maybe everyone sleeps on this team come March time, and maybe they're 100% healthy, and then that's the time you don't want to play them, and that's when they catch everybody by surprise. So
neutral, it's going to change everything, man.
It does,
man.
It's
not going to be a 20-point blowout like against Utah State.
You and I sound like broken records when we say this. Like, all right, we'll see how everybody looks on a neutral, but it's true. Like, it's amazing, like, how different these teams look. And we should note, based on, since we've been covering the Mountain West tournament now, we'll be down there in March in a few weeks. Utah State student section was elite 2 years ago, and San Diego State and New Mexico crowds have been a constant, where they're gonna have the crowd advantage. So
not even UNLV gets that type of crowd in their own,
they don't.
in their own arena.
Even though they're the UNLV crowd, they'll show up for the tournament.
Yeah, for their game. But if for some reason they draw like SDSU or New Mexico, like those fans will just somehow outnumber UNLV.
They will outnumber them. Yeah, we saw that matchup last year in like a quarterfinal game, and the game was close, but San Diego State just completely outnumbered them with their fan base. Just Mountain West big picture, Jonathan. Man, the standings, so like the top of the standings are like getting a little crazy now. So we had that pivotal game on Sunday. Great watch, by the way, like in the second half and like for the first 4 minutes of it. New Mexico and Utah State at the pit. Dude, I'm not one of these guys that complain about the officials a lot. But man, the officials took that game over on Sunday. Like there was just a whistle every single time down the floor. Like, it was just ridiculous, and there was no game flow. Especially for a high leverage Mountain West regular season game between first place and second place, like, they always say for, like, the opponents, like, hey, know your personnel. For the officials, like, know the situation here. Like, we understand, like, you want to call like some of these games tight and, letter of the law and stuff like that, but man, I just didn't like the way the officials had their impact on the game. I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, in that game on Sunday, Jonathan, the whole Utah State front court was in foul trouble. I don't know if you got eyes on this one entirely, but, like, even Falslev had 3 fouls. And,
oh, wow. I only caught, like, the later of the second half.
Okay. Nah, so it was a great watch, though. Like, Utah State was up double digits at one point. New Mexico, had their avalanche of a run that they always do at the
Why do they
pit.
always do that, by the way? New Mexico always somehow just down and they miraculously come back towards the end of the game. Did it against Wyoming, Utah State.
Man, it's crazy.
at Utah State.
It's can I tell you, like, it's always the usual suspects, right? New Mexico, Utah State, and San Diego State if they're down, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's that crowd. It's the crowds.
Donovan didn't hit his first three till like the last like few minutes of the game,
No,
right?
he
Like
didn't.
3-4 minutes of the game, and all of a sudden the crowd got shut down and
True
shut up.
Washington was incredible that game.
Oh, okay.
He had like 24 points and like had like 3 steals, and he hit like the dagger 3 late. And man, I'll tell you this. So like Utah State, we're gonna see this on the neutral site, like whoever they play, like, because I think they're gonna go on a deep run. Obviously, they're
Utah?
like they're one of the top teams. Like they'll be in the semifinal or championship game. Dude, they are so hard to kill when they're trailing. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like when they were down 8 at the pit, and then all of a sudden a minute later they had the game tied. And they get those fluky plays, man, like the missed free throw, the offensive rebound, and then they kick it out for the 3 and drill it. Like that team's crazy, like the way that they could go on runs like in a hurry. So that was a great game on Sunday, but the reason why I mentioned that is because the way those two teams stand right now, first place and second place in the Mountain West, the regular season title can get a little bit hairy here because New Mexico's 14-2. They're 2-0 head-to-head against Utah State. But Utah State, the Aggies, are 13-3 in league play. And Jonathan, you and I are going to go ahead and, I guess, just call the shot on who you think's going to win the regular season here with 4 games left on the board for each team. So New Mexico has, the tiebreaker virtually, for the 1 seed in the tournament. And, 1 game ahead of them.
Yeah.
But New Mexico's on this brutal stretch right now where they lost to Boise last night. They beat the Utah State team at the pit, but now they're at San Diego State on Tuesday.
Oh, please. Nobody's scared of San Diego State anymore, dude. Of Miles Boyd and company. They almost lost to SJSU. I think they could take care of business there. And they swept Utah State, man. They're the only team that swept Utah State. They're going to be mad coming off a loss against Boise. On the flip side, dude, Utah State has a tough schedule to end.
They do.
As opposed to UNM, they got to get past SDSU. Then they're cruising the rest of the last 3 games.
Are you sure?
For UNM?
UNM's cruising.
Yeah,
UNM's cruising, right? Because they got the San Diego State game next week in Southern California, home versus Air Force, at Nevada, and then they're home versus UNLV.
Yeah, for Utah State, they got to go through like the top dogs, in the Mountain West to end the season, except for obviously Air Force, but SDSU, and then at Boise, at Colorado State. Whew. That's not cool, man.
That's a gauntlet, man.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna.
I think New Mexico's gonna win the regular season.
Yeah, I agree. Just by default.
Right, just based on the way the schedule looks and the fact that they have the game on them as well. Man, Utah State, they've proven that they can win on the road. I will say this. So Boise played last night. They had the dreadful loss last Saturday at San Diego State.
Yeah,
64-47. They got killed. They didn't have a pulse in that game offensively. Like, they were done. Absolutely embarrassing. But they beat New Mexico last night, 86-78. Dude, Tyson Degenar at a career high. 32 points.
That's his career high?
Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Are you kidding me?
This guy's been in the Mountain West for years.
Because he has had good teams around him, though.
Exactly.
He's never had to go off.
I was thinking that in my head. I was like, when I heard career high last night, 32 points, I was like, what?
Yeah, I thought he dropped a 40 piece at one point in his life. But
right,
whatever.
or I think he'd break maybe 35 in one of when they're playing maybe one of the they're playing
Fresno
one of the
State
bye
or
games
something, yeah.
Or even in one of those
non-con, you get into the game, they're just going off against St. Mary's or something.
Right. That shocked
crazy.
me. And so Boise State, we already know they've been in the struggle bus for their standards, right? And Coach Leon's been trying a jillion different things to try to make the lineup work. And I think he finally might have cracked the code because he started freshman Pearson Carmichael. This was the guy. So in the San Diego State game, he was actually the one lifeline to their offense. He had himself a fadeaway jumper, a couple threes in garbage time. And so they're like, all right, why not start him? John, he has 21 points, a career high in his first career start.
Oh, sick, dude.
And he had a massive 4-point play, around the 16-minute mark of the second half. I was like, dude, this game's over.
Just because Carmichael was going off? He switched the starting lineup 3 times already.
Yeah. And so we've talked about the Omar Stanley struggles, right? So San Diego State, the game last Saturday, he had 2 fouls and a turnover in a minute. Like he's another guy. Like nobody could figure it out with
the
him.
yips, man.
He's got more than the yips. So he came off the bench last night. I watched the game, rewatched the game this morning. Actually playable, I felt like. 7 points, 3 for 3 shooting, hit a 3. Did have some defensive breakdowns, I thought, but was much better compared to the San Diego State game. So if they could get just a decent Omar Stanley and they get the Carmichael, treatment here and the way he keeps going. And, Cardenas, we already know he's a really good point guard. Degenhart is he's one of the best players in the league. We'll see what Boise State is down the stretch here, but everyone's talking about, their potential at-large resume here because, they were the preseason favorite, and that would be pretty disappointing if they missed the NCAA tournament. So their best road wins at UNLV this year.
Wow.
Like they've lost a lot of like road games that they shouldn't have, or like that they just quite honestly had some bad luck in, like they lost on the final shot in. And their bad losses, man. The Washington State game that they lost doesn't look good now. And they lost to Boston College, man.
Washington State got swept by Pacific.
Yeah, exactly. Wazoo got swept by Pacific. That tells you all you need to know. So.
Oh, Boston College. That sucks, dude. Right? Boston College is the worst.
And dude, that game was in the Cayman Islands.
Oh my goodness. Boston College 11-15.
Yeah, it's brutal. Right? Because I think,
neutral? Yeah, I don't know.
That's
you can't
terrible.
Excuse that, though, man.
No, I know you can't. It's terrible. Now, this is, I think, the next 2 games for Boise State is going to determine their at-large bid. At Nevada on Saturday.
Easy money, dude.
We'll see. And then they're home versus Utah State on Wednesday.
They can take care of Utah State.
You think so?
I think they got some momentum going their way, man. And I don't think they're in a position to obviously take the regular season, but I've been telling you this. I think they can be that team that they can take the Mountain West tournament and just going straight into it in the middle of the pack, whatever seed they end up. I don't care if it's 4th or 5th. I think they're that team that's going to be scary and the most complete team going into the Mountain West. They can be in the regular season all you want, but Utah State got eliminated in the second round last year.
Right.
So I still think Boise State's that team that's going to be feared alongside San Diego, as much as I hate to say it. It's going to be the usual suspects.
I would probably
Mountain West
say
tournament.
So.
Yeah.
I would say so.
I still got pretty high hopes for these guys. I don't care. It's not just because Cardenas is on the team either, as much as I like him.
Well, I'll tell you what. If they're gonna turn it on, you gotta win. You gotta win the next 2 games. Avoid the bad loss. To end the regular season. And if you're rolling with momentum like that, and you win the next 2 big games decisively, I might start to buy in again on the Broncos. We'll see though. And you already know that they'll be playing hard. They'll be like that feisty team like New Mexico was last year, playing like their lives depend on it, because they'll know that they'll be on the bubble for the NCAA tournament.
They could technically still finish 3rd in the Mountain West.
They could.
They're only a game behind Colorado State and SDSU. They're 11-4. Boise State 10-5. And they match up against Colorado State. I think they go to Colorado eventually down the line.
Boise State?
Yeah.
No, Boise State hosts them.
Oh, okay. That's even better.
Yeah,
so
they lost on the Jalen Lake 3.
Oh, that sucks. Jalen Lake?
Yeah.
Whatever. Colorado State, man. They're, to me, that's that overrated team going into the Mountain West tournament. Man. I don't know. I don't care what seed they are, who they're bringing in here. I don't think they can get past any of the top dogs, at least.
Okay, so I remember we had this conversation about them last year because they had all the big time recognition. They were top 13 in America at one point. They were wagging at home and questionable on the road. This year they're the same, even though I do think this year, I don't know. I feel what would you say, is last year's team better or this year's team better?
I don't know. That's a great question, actually. I want to ask a Colorado State fan that question too, because you can kind of compare. I think it depends on what type of offense you like and the type of matchups you like. Are you more of a Stevens guy or Clifford guy?
Right.
I like this team because of the matchup, man. Nick Clifford basically running the point. You got 6'7" guys starting at the 5 basically all around. They're matchup nightmares. Memba plays like he's 7 feet somehow. I really like the length of this team. They can match up against anybody here, as opposed to last year kind of just running it through Stevens. Nick Clifford was on the bench. That's kind of crazy to think about.
I know he started for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he started for them.
It was all running through Stevens.
Yeah.
Top 25 Mountain West player. Why wouldn't he be running it through him? But something about this team, just watching them live and just destroy SJSU, it was like as if they were San Diego State. was kind of scary to watch. So, and I think on any given day they can really turn it up. They're third in the Mountain West for a reason. But with that being said, when the Mountain West tournament comes around and they start to see the New Mexicos of the world and Boise States in Vegas when it's crunch time and you got to do it, I don't think these guys are capable of
with the crowd screaming on the top of their lungs.
That's the thing too. Colorado State is a great hometown crowd. For some reason, when we've gone to these tournaments, the green and white haven't shown. The Rams haven't showed out over there.
Not as
too.
much, right?
Yeah.
For a fan base that's actually been in competitive.
They're a great basketball school.
Nico Medved's a great coach, man.
Yeah,
he's a great coach. I mean, the fact that he's got him in fourth place with not to discount this roster, but for how much everyone was emphasizing the Stevens loss, you and I as well.
Rightfully so. I mean, he was a big impact player.
And he's terrific. And the fact that he's got him 11-4, I don't know. They're like the ultimate wild card to me, right?
I like that they brought back a lot of their guys too. Like there wasn't a bunch of transfers that are
all the guys
over.
that left graduated.
Yeah, but a lot of the guys, the underclassmen and stuff, were on the bench, kind of just filled those roles. Kyan Evans, Jalen Lake is still on the team.
Right.
I like Ethan Morton. That's kind of cool.
Morton, yeah, I know. Morton hit his
Memba
first three of the week.
Team.
First
really?
3 of the year last week. Hey, Crocker Johnson, I know you're a fan of him as well.
He's amazing.
He's like the big time difference maker, like in one of those games, right? Like the stretch. He's like the stretch four, that guy that can shoot it. He's averaging 9 a game. Like, dude, if they get massive production from him, if they get the production from him in the Mountain West tournament that they got from Joe Palmer last year,
get out of here. Joe Palmer's still going to their games for some reason.
Hey, he's a media guy now.
Well, is he really?
Yeah.
I bet he is, dude. He didn't know how to work the mic after the tournament was over.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, but I don't know. That team won't be ready. And
you think so? I think they're eliminated second round, man.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how they turn out. College hoops, big picture wise.
St. John's.
Oh,
I think they're winning everything,
The
dude.
Rick Pitino Kool-Aid. This guy's seen all the clips of him yelling at his team.
I've been talking about these guys since last year, man.
I know. You've been on the St. Johnny's bandwagon. Hey, I'm right there with you. They're 10th in America. I think they can go on the Final Four run.
I think they can, too, unless the refs just, mess up Pitino. They just see him on the court. They're like, I'm tired of this guy, which I can totally see happening. NCAA doesn't want Pitino to win.
No, they don't.
But
they get UConn again this weekend.
Oh, that sucks for UConn. UConn is playing like garbage, dude.
It's at Madison Square Garden, too.
Ooh.
St. John's is going to win again.
You think so?
Yes. I think they'll win again.
That Creighton
UConn
game, I knew they were going to
dude.
take it, man. Top 25 Creighton, and I feel bad because they're missing their third scorer in Isaacs.
Yeah, Pop Isaacs.
Yeah,
Creighton.
and there's still they barely just cracked the top 25 in their first matchups against St. John's.
I know,
sucks.
and then they're right back down. Yeah. St. John's is awesome though. That team guards. It's just a matter of they can hit free throws and jump shots, right? That's the whole big ordeal with that team.
That defense is not to be messed with, man. They were stripping everything every time they kind of went into the lane.
I've heard people compare them to San Diego State East, and I don't think that's far fetched. To make that comparison, the way that they guard, it looks like San Diego State, playing A-game defense. I don't know. Dude, can we talk about Kansas?
Oh, those guys suck, dude. They shouldn't even be in the tournament.
How are they top 25 still? They're 20,
I don't know going
20.
into this yet, but they're not going to be next week, obviously.
Well, they got smashed at BYU on
which is what?
Tuesday. They lost the game by 30 plus.
Yeah, I just didn't expect that to happen. I watched the first half, and I was like, oh, this game's over, dude. I was not expecting that beatdown.
I mean, it's incredible, right? AJ Storr, they paid what, 6 to 8 figures for this guy.
He's not doing anything, dude. He's
7
averaging
figures.
6 points a game. He's coming off the bench sometimes.
Averaging 3 a game.
Wow, man.
Storr's been dreadful. Zeke Mayo, I've wanted more from. Hunter Dickinson's a mess. DeJuan Harris is the 5th-year guy, the 6th-year guy, and that's kind of been with all those different Kansas teams, just trying to rally the troops, and even he can't with this group. Bill Self looks checked out. I text you after the BYU game, after the result. And I said, that Houston game broke them, dude.
Yeah, I guess so. I could see that happening. Anytime you kind of just lose a big game like that, your morale can fall apart. But, man, to lose in that type of fashion to BYU. I know it's a home game for BYU. Those fans at Utah, they're psychotic.
Yeah, they
like
are.
No matter what, school conference you're in, they're just crazy all around in Utah. But man, just to lose in that fashion with all those stars on that team, they're a complete star-studded lineup, and they don't even deserve to be. I don't know how they're ranked coming into this week. Next week, man, I don't want to hear any news about them. I'm tired of seeing them on ESPN games. Like, put someone else on, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I'm tired of it too. And that team's been a massive disappointment. That was preseason number 1, dude, to start the year.
I mean, I didn't mind it.
I didn't disagree with it at the time. I didn't disagree with it at all. It's just like, my goodness, like how the mighty have fallen. It's been remarkable. And Iowa State's taken a step back. Texas Tech lost to TCU, which I don't know how that TCU team's 8-7 in Big 12 play.
Home game for them.
I get it. And man, Arizona's been a surprise.
Yeah, seriously.
They just keep winning. Like they lost the game to Houston, like at home, the game that they should have lost.
Yeah.
They lost to they have some other losses. All their losses have been like they didn't really get smashed. Like they lost at the Little Apple in K-State by 3. Like they could very well be undefeated in the Big 12.
They're about to lose to Iowa State.
I agree with you there.
This little run is over.
Dude, Iowa State at Houston is on this upcoming Monday. What a game.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
On Big Monday. That's going to be incredible.
What?
Yeah, it's a primetime Monday night game.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's in Houston.
Oh, I didn't realize Arizona was at Baylor.
Yeah, that was on Monday. Yeah.
Dang, dude. Baylor fell off too.
Yeah, that Baylor team's been disappointing.
What happened to Roach and Nunn?
The guards have been there. Edgecomb's been good. He's been unguardable. They just don't have, like, Norchad O'Meara can't get it done for you. Like, he's good, but, like, you need another front court presence, and the other guy got hurt. He's out for the year.
Nick, can I interest you in Wisconsin?
Oh yeah, talk to me about the Badgers. I've heard people say like this is their best team since like
AJ Storr should have never left.
Was on the front
dude.
page.
Well, this team's better than Frank Kaminsky. Frank the Tank. All due respect to him, he's killing it in the G League somewhere right now. But
yeah, you're right.
These guys, all of a sudden, they got AJ Storr's replacement in Josh Tonji or Tonje. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
He was initially at Colorado State once upon a time, like 5
cool.
years ago.
Oh no way. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's the number 1 option, averaging 19 points a game. They still got that same crew from last year, and we were talking about them last week. I thought that they would lose that game to Purdue, but I think they got that game over number 7 Purdue at the time, and they won against Illinois on Tuesday. Illinois, a bunch of frauds, but still, just the fact that those 2 wins, I think, are the most impressive of the season. And all of a sudden, top 11, they could be heading top 10 if they can get this win against Oregon on Saturday.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't mind it.
I'm buying in. They'll be in the Big Ten title game probably. You'll be watching that game on Sunday after the Mountain West tournament ends, and you'll be like, "Yep, they're playing Purdue or Michigan."
Yeah, I think them and Michigan State are those top 2
Michigan
dogs,
State.
to be honest. Like right there in the conference. To me, Purdue fell off after that loss. I was not expecting that loss at Purdue, for them, man.
I'm starting to sell the stock on Purdue.
And then Purdue lost at Michigan State after that too. So they were dealing with back-to-back losses right after that.
I think it's Wisconsin and Michigan State in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Michigan.
And I like Braden Smith a lot, the way he plays.
For Purdue, but they just don't have the same.
Yeah, they don't have the team around him.
They don't have the same guns as they did last year, obviously. And, man, Michigan State, Michigan and Michigan State is actually on Sunday.
Michigan
check that tomorrow.
So overrated.
That's Friday.
It is tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, February 21st.
That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, I think Michigan is so overrated, man.
I'm with you. They should have not won that game at Ohio State.
I know that Ohio State
Don't get me wrong, they
chances,
controlled it,
though.
but
Yeah.
my goodness. Anything else we want? Oh, do we want to talk about Missouri last night beating Alabama?
Oh, that's crazy.
And they didn't storm the court.
Well, I think did you see the antics from, I don't know if it was a coach that kind of told them not to.
Dennis Gates said,
hey,
got on the
chill.
mic, and he's all like,
well, they got
don't
fined
storm.
last time when they stormed.
Well, of course you did.
Yeah,
but you stormed versus Kansas. When are you going to beat Alabama again?
Yeah, and Alabama's, 2-1?
They're 4 now.
Oh, 4. Oh, dang, they fell. That sucks.
Yeah, they lost the Auburn game at home.
I forgot about that. Oh, dang, Broom.
Yeah, Auburn's still great. Yeah, I couldn't believe that though. It's like, dude, if you're gonna storm, Storm.
I know, right? Like,
you already know
when your
I'm
coach is telling you
pro-storming.
not to do it, I guess the fans are gonna listen. If Tim Miles is like, don't storm, I wouldn't storm. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I'll tell you,
I'm with you there.
I'm trying to think about it. When's the last time one of those Mountain West teams stormed at home?
I don't know, man. They would have to. When's the last time a Mountain West team beat a top 25 team while they were at home? Like any Mountain West team. I think it's probably been a minute.
Well, the problem is that none of these powerhouses that we're talking about right now in the
Come to
Power
Mountain
6
West school.
are going to come to Mountain West schools.
Because they don't want to lose. No one wants to
If they
lose
play 'em-
to Utah State.
Dude, if they play them, it's always on neutrals because they know that they'll lose at the Mountain West
Yeah.
venues. That's the problem, and that's why they won't do it. And they'd rather play them on a neutral because they know they got a better chance of beating them, and the metrics will be better, and it could more than likely turn into a quad one.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why it doesn't happen, and I think I just answered my own question there. Anything else we got on college hoops?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of other top 25 teams, but I think those are all really like my favorites. St. John's, Michigan State. I like Florida a lot. They killed Oklahoma the other
Florida's
day.
great. Florida's great. I think you and I both.
Those are like
agree
all my
with that.
favorite. Like those are my top 3 dogs right there. Like,
What do you think of this WCC race?
I think it's a top 2 race. Like it
St.
is
Mary's,
every
Gonzaga.
year. Yeah.
Okay,
USF
so
is
then-
flirting, but they're gonna end up being 3rd place.
All right,
they
so
just don't have the talent there.
All right, so let me ask you this, because this is kind of like just like the general question every year. Who wins? Who's better, USF or Santa Clara on a neutral?
Ooh, on a neutral, man. That's actually a very tough question for these. That's like the 3-4 to me
They
for
played
the
some
WCC.
crazy games in that tournament too over the years.
Yeah, you're right. And I think USF is better on a neutral this year. And I think just because of one guy, Malik Thomas, he changes
I'd probably
everything.
agree with you, but it's by like 2 points or a
Yeah.
point. It's very close. Like flip a coin there.
I don't know. SCU's been very sus to me this year. I was really high on them last year. Who'd they get that win over? Either Gonzaga or St. Mary's last year?
They got the Gonzaga win
okay,
at home.
Yeah, so I was just
And
shocked
they beat
by
them
that
on the
one.
road this year. Remember,
Okay.
they scored 100 there.
You're right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. But still, I just think they've been very sus. I've been seeing a lot of hero ball from like a Dumbo ball when I do watch every now and then for some reason.
The
And
Carlos Stewart transferring back has helped them out a lot. Like Ball doesn't take as many dumb shots as he did last year. I feel like.
I don't know. Every time I'm watching them, for some reason, he's just taking a crazy shot
he
or
would,
driving
yeah.
in. And he has the talent, man, but I just think he's trying too hard. And he has a talented team around him. But with that being said, I don't know why. I just think this backcourt, I haven't been dramatic. I think they're a top backcourt in the country for USF, for Williams and Malik Thomas. I think they get past SCU, but when you match them up against a real top 2 dogs in the Zags and St. Mary's, then it's really just top heavy between those two. Yeah, the 3-4. You can duke it out all you want between Santa Clara and USF, but they're not getting past St. Mary's or Gonzaga. But if I have to choose, I'm going there with the green.
All right, so then I think St. Mary's is better this year than Gonzaga.
Yeah,
on
I
a
agree.
neutral.
They were
I think
better
they'll win
last year.
Did they win that tournament last year?
I don't know if they won the tournament, but
I think Gonzaga might have beat them
yeah, that's kind
in
of
the
dumb.
tournament. This is
Whatever.
the year for the Gales. The Gales are going to get it
Hey,
done.
man, in Gonzaga, they're loaded, dude. Like that whole team, like just from like top to bottom, like the guys they have coming
Did
off
they
the
play
bench
each
and
other
starting.
there yet? At the Kennel in Spokane?
I don't know. They
take a
won.
peek
St. Mary's
real quick.
won at St. Mary's. We were watching
Right,
that
yeah,
game.
we
I don't know
watched
if
that
they
game.
played over in Washington yet, to be honest. But dude, just like starting lineup from
yet.
top to finish.
Dude,
They
that's
haven't
this
yet?
weekend.
Oh, that's sick. Let's go.
I didn't check the Saturday slate yet, so.
That's because there's
Wow.
always 100 games on Saturdays,
know.
dude.
So St. Mary's at Gonzaga is in Spokane on Saturday. That's a 5 p.m. Pacific tip. That'll be great. I would probably, picking the game now, Gonzaga will win, and St. Mary's will win the tiebreaker in the WCC conference championship game.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I like
That's
St.
the
Mary's
year for
better
the
anyways.
Gales. I think so. All right. I
So-
think that will do it for.
Hey, MJ Amy's coming to town.
Oh yeah, MJ Amy, former SJSU Spartan. Well, this is the closest you could get to San Jose, right?
Yeah,
He's
like-
playing the Santa Clara Broncos tonight.
Just wanted to give a shout out to the
Hey.
man who carried us last year.
Man who carried us, and I could tell you what. Just speaking on this, great dude.
Yeah.
Personality guy, he's great, and brings it. Total great. I feel like great locker room guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Brings the energy. We know he's been through a lot, and
He's
you know,
gonna
his
have
story's well documented.
his own little crowd out there for sure in SCU. He had his own crowd at USF, man. Like, sure, not just specifically MJ Amy. I think I was sitting near his people, I think.
The kid from Vacaville, so, like, I mean, he's played at Pacific. He had a good crowd.
Yeah.
He played at USF. Were you at that game?
Yeah, I was. I just went to go catch it. Like,
I thought you were at
minute.
that game. Yeah. Did he have a good crowd there?
Yeah, I was sitting like, I don't know who they are, but, near his people, they kept chanting specifically for MJ Amy. So I was like, hey, let's go. I'm sitting near the right people.
I wouldn't expect anything different for Santa Clara tonight.
And Santa Clara, like I said, sus, man. LMU might just hang around the first half before Santa Clara eventually, like,
pulls away.
Yeah, pulls away. Hey, that's how it goes. They're on ESPN at 8 p.m. Shout out LMU, getting some national attention.